And we do want to get into the politics of today and your dead center thesis here. But if we could begin with Iran, the conflict that the president pursued and that Congress, frankly, to this point has played very little role in. I wonder if you're looking at your former colleagues who had no say in the start of this war, have had no say in the conduct of this war to this point, but some are suggesting should have a say in how it ends if this is to end in some kind of formalized treaty.
Well, first of all, in any of these conflicts, if you look back through history, even if they did not go the way we intended them to go, there was always knowledge of what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And if you had a chance, you could agree, or you could agree to disagree. This had no input whatsoever or any knowledge of what was going to, or the end game, what was going to happen. And I think it's been hard to dissect what was our main purpose. Everyone was concerned about them having nuclear arsenals. And if they did, and their prolific terrorism support around the world, it was something we all should be concerned. The free world should be concerned about that. And you could have brought more people along if we could have proven that they were at this enrichment, that we had to do something. At that time, we could have had a multi-nation of, okay, how do we keep the straits open? How do we secure free shipping? How do we make sure they do not have access to nuclear weapons that can do harm to everybody? And we're not going to basically force a regime change because we've never been good at that. And it's an ideology. It's not just a position. So with that being said, could we have neutralized them so they could not have that reach that they've had? So with the Houthis and Hamas and all their different Hezbollah and all their different sanctions, if you will, as far as around that part of the world, and also making sure that the Gulf states, I've said this, it's not going to be a Gentile country, a Jewish country that can go into the Muslim world and govern it. It can't do it. What they can do is help prepare the basis for a Muslim, basically a regime that's more agreeable with the world order. So we've got to hope now, how do we get out of this? But they can't return right now unless you've stopped the main intent of having nuclear weapons. And that means, where is the enrichment? I hope it's not another Iraq when we had wars of weapons of mass destruction, and we couldn't find them.
That's right.
So we're hoping that's not the case. And they've just, we thought we've neutered them, if you will, but my goodness, they keep firing and they keep having missiles. And I'm understanding China has really come in strong in help and defense of Iran. That's not a good sign.
Yeah. Well, to the extent you think Congress has abdicated its duties so far, there will be another inflection point coming when we reach the 60-day mark of this conflict. That'll be on April 29th. And we've heard from a number of members who said, look, the president's got some bandwidth here. Does the debate change at that point in the parlance of war powers when we're 60 days into this and there might not be an end in sight?
Well, it should. We've up until Iraq and Afghanistan wars, we paid for every war. It was dedicated funds that paid for the wars that we had, so we didn't incur any more indebtedness. We saw what the Afghanistan-Iraq war did to us as far as accumulating more debt. And now we're at 39, pushing $40 trillion. A civilized country cannot survive that, because sooner or later it's going to be such a burden on the people, the citizens, that they will reject what's going on. And when that happens, you just get total dysfunction. We're close to that. We're at an inflection point now to where, okay, no one's talking about the debt. We've increased the debt more in the last 5 months, faster than any time in history, as I'm understanding. It's over $1 trillion. This is whenever the debt exceeds the cost of defending your country. So we're $1 trillion. We've passed the $1 trillion mark. That's greater than what we have as far as what we pay to defend the country. I know the president wants to increase that to $1.5 trillion. That's going to be a very, very heavy lift. The power of the purse is still in the House, okay? And it has to have agreement with the Senate. So that's the balance you have. The Senate has the filibuster, the 60-vote threshold, which is a wonderful thing for our country up until now. It's not, the only time it's not wonderful is if you're in power. If you're in the majority, you want total, absolute power. So the Democrats wanted to get rid of the filibuster when they had it in 2020 with Joe Biden. I would not do it under any circumstances, and Kirsten Sinema did not do it. So without us two, or without even one of us, they could not get rid of the filibuster. Now the president wants the Republicans to get rid of it because they want a voting. And both of them want to get rid of it because of a voting law that they both wanted to
Save America Act.
So with that being on, I said, wait a minute. The bottom line is you're going to be flip-flopping back like most European parliaments do if you do that. We have stable government. When we pass legislation, it's going to be there for quite some time. It's harder to get rid of it, too. And what happens is that we won't be that superpower with the predictability and stability that the world has looked towards. And right now I'm concerned about that.
Well, and your defense of the filibuster has been well documented. To this point, the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, has also tried his best to defend it, refused the talking filibuster that President Trump asked for example. But I wonder what you make of the notion that to get around the filibuster, we're just doing a bunch of budget reconciliation packages. Obviously, you were a critical vote for Democrats in the Biden administration in a reconciliation package. We've seen Republicans already successfully pursue one this Congress. They're talking now about 2.0 and 3.0. Is this just the way we're going to do things?
Well, this is
going
exactly
forward?
what the Democrats try to do. And I told Chuck Schumer, I said, Chuck, the establishment of the Senate is the most deliberate body in the world, okay? It was not designed to run on simple majority, 51. It was designed to run on more of a consensus. And that means that the minority would always have input. As a senator, it didn't really make that much difference to those of us who might not be the majority leader or in leadership, because we still had input. We could talk. Our voice was important, and our vote was very important. So you always were needed to sit down and negotiate and work through things. Now they're getting to the point where they said, well, just disregard that. And I told President Biden, I said, Mr. President, what you're doing here and allowing this to go into reconciliation, coming in with American Rescue Plan, ARP, is wrong. I said, you're the one on the stage, as I recall, running for president, that said, I know how it works. I've worked with these people. I know how to bring people together. And now you're throwing a nuclear option, what we call the nuclear option, just coming out of the gate. And I believe they would have ran the 117th Congress, which is 2021, through January 2023, with 4 reconciliation bills, 2 in 2021 and 2 in 22. And I said, I'm not going to, you need my vote and you're not going to get it. It's not going to happen. And I killed the Build Back Better because it was basically throwing so much. It would have been a $10 trillion bill. We'd have thrown the world, I believe, into a recession, if not a depression. It was awful. You cannot digest that much money in the system. When they did when American Rescue Plan was passed in January of 2021, that means within 1 year we put $5.1 trillion of government spending into the system. We run the government about $5.5 trillion during that period of time. We doubled the amount of money. We couldn't digest it. You talk about fraud, abuse, and waste, that's how it happens. And you see what's happening now.
We were all chasing you around every day up there trying to get a number from you. And I mean, you really held the cards at that point. Senator, who's the Joe Manchin now? Because they're talking about 2.0 and 3.0. The president's already backed one of these plans. They're talking about Save America maybe being in the next one. And everyone wants to know how many limbs we can get on this Christmas tree. Is there a Manchin or a Senator left?
I think there is. I truly believe in my heart of hearts there is. But what they have to come to realization, what's your purpose? Is it about your country or about your party? So once you get that in your mind, who do I serve? I told Harry Reid one time, I said, Harry, I can't vote for that. He got upset, and I said, Harry, listen, you didn't hire me and you can't fire me. And I said, I don't work for you. I don't work for the president. I don't work for anyone here except my oath to the Constitution to protect and defend it. I took that oath, and the people back home in West Virginia. And if I can't go home and explain it, I'm not voting for it. I was never afraid of getting defeated to go home because I had to live with myself. And I know there's enough good Republicans and enough good Democrats that feel the same way. They seem to have the courage. This might be my last hurrah, but if I'm going to go out, I'm going out on my terms and do what's right for your country. But, you can be respectfully. The president has a temper. I know him pretty well, but you can work with him. Just be respectful and say, Mr. President, if he gets mad and calls you dumb, stupid, and ugly and everything else, just say, oh, he doesn't really mean that. He's my friend. He'll get over it. Okay? But do it respectfully, because I think he would respect that more, knowing that you feel very strongly about your position. The biggest thing in the political arena today, it's easy to be against something. Tell me what you would be for if we could change it. Help me. Before I'm against it, have you thought about this? Would you try this? I think it might work better. I've done what you're going to do right now, and I've made that mistake. I'm asking you not to repeat it. Be positive. Don't be negative. Don't call people names. Don't say it's all the Democrats' fault or it's all the Republicans' fault. It's all of our fault for allowing the Democrats and Republicans to mess the system up this bad.
Well, and gets back to your dead center book in our final moment here, Senator. Can a dead center candidate survive the primary system to have a successful run at the presidency? Would you try, sir?
I would have loved to have been able to be on the stage to be able to talk what was normal and common sense to people, how they live their lives, what's important to them, and how we treat people around the world, and how we have people that want the same quality of life, the same economies that we have here in the U.S. That's what you prosper. To be a superpower of the world takes more than being just a super military or a super economy. You have to have super compassion for those less fortunate. And if you don't show that, people won't follow you. We've got to change. And the system, the process, whether it's a third candidate, change the process of how we elect. Open up your primaries. Let more people. Don't let the Democrat Republican Party control everything, because they're screwing it up.